All right, hello and welcome. If you're here, that means you are interested in making a game in Roblox, and in the process, I assume you're interested in making some Robux potentially. If you're new to the channel, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Cameron Kirk, and I am a software developer in Las Vegas, Nevada. And today we're going to look at sort of a introduction beginner look at making a very nice day-night cycle in Roblox. So if you haven't opened Roblox Studio, go ahead and do that now. We're going to make a classic base plate. If you want to use something different, you can. Or if you already have an existing game that you'd like to implement this in, go ahead and open up that game, and I'm pretty sure this will work fine in that game. It's come to my attention that what I'm about to show you, there is already a tutorial out there. Let's see, where was it? Not a tutorial, but there is code out there already for making a day-night cycle. But the thing about this code is it is actually using the wait and a infinite loop. And this actually isn't a great way of doing that. There is a better way, and I'm going to show you how to do that today in a very quick, short video. So I'm going to make my camera smaller here. Where I am is, and the link will be in the description, I'm on the Roblox developer API reference. And this is sort of where I am getting all my information from. Anytime I want to get something done in the game, I come here, and it's usually been a pretty good source at figuring out how all these things work. So today's video is going to be primarily around the ServerScriptService. This is a folder in your workspace, the Explorer over here, not in the workspace, but this is a folder in your Explorer in the hierarchy here. ServerScriptService, there it is. Anytime you place a script in here, it's basically going to run over and over, well, not over and over, but it will be executed by the server. So any script you place in here will be executed by the server. So go ahead and make a script. And yeah, it says right here, that's a container for scripts or module scripts and other scripting related assets and are only meant for server use. So yeah, now that we have a script added in here, let's go ahead and rename this. I strongly believe in organization. If you want to be a successful programmer, you want to be good at what you do, I really do think having that eye for organization and putting the little bit of effort at keeping things organized is the way to go. So I'm sure you've already done this before. You've added a script. It gives you this default code that says print hello, hello world. And then when you play the game, it says hello world down here. What we're going to do next is you can run that if you haven't seen that before, but I'm not going to spend the time running that. Let me make sure I am recording. Okay, we're good. We're live. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we are going to create a function. So to do that, we're going to say local. This is going to be a function local to our script. We're going to say function, and then we're going to give this a name, and I'm going to call it time step for the purposes of this video. This is the code that will run every time we want to take a step in time. We want to take a step forward in time. Now, let me talk a little bit about what a function is, just to really give you a strong intuition and understanding of the code that we're writing. So a function is sort of like you're giving instructions. So whenever I say the code word apple to you, we've already agreed beforehand that when I say the code word apple, you're going to follow this set of instructions. And this instructions are going to my house when I'm not home, lifting the doormat and then getting the spare key, going inside and feeding my dog. So if I were to say apple to you, you already know the instructions for what the code word apple means. This is exactly what's going on for the computer when it sees a function. So the big thing to distinguish, though, is even though we've already talked about what apple means and what the instructions are, I didn't actually say apple yet. I mean, technically I said apple, but I didn't in practice say apple. You have to wait for me to say apple, and then you know what that means. Or maybe we're doing something secret or something, or it's like a signal, you know, it's going to tell you when to do something. So in this case, our code word is time step, and we are telling the computer, we're giving it instructions on what to do whenever I say time step to the computer. So for all intents and purposes, let's just place this print hello world into our function and hit play. And you'll notice that it doesn't say hello world anymore at the bottom. It doesn't say that at the bottom anymore. And this is because we've told the computer how to do something, but we didn't tell the computer to do it yet. So how do we actually say the code word to the computer to do our instructions? And in this case, all you have to do is say the name. And then what I did there was I used autocomplete. So time step, and then it's suggesting to me my time step function. And then while it's highlighted, I just push the tab key and it auto types the rest of it, including these open and close parentheses. These are important because these are saying execute that function. Okay. The other thing about these parentheses is sometimes you can pass variables into here. So a variable is sort of like a blank, like a fill in the blank. And so when I fill in the blank with a 3, then this 3 is going to be used in, with the name step, the variable name step. And then if I were to print out step, then we should see hello world and then the number 3. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm saying do my secret code word with the option 3. And then this option 3 slots right into the step variable. And in the instructions, we said whatever step happens to be, we're just going to print it. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense as well. I'm just giving you as fast as possible how this all works. So we're saying hello world, which is good. And then we're saying 3. So now what I can do is if I said 7 and I hit play, this time around, step is going to be 7. So it'll say 7. You can see that there. Hopefully this makes sense. I encourage you to play around with this a little bit more. Try printing out some other things. And the interesting thing about Roblox and Lua is I believe I can type my name here and it will still work just the same. Yep, it says hello world Cameron. Cool. All right, let's click stop. All right, hopefully that drives home what it is we're doing here. Now, with all that understood, what we're going to do next is we are going to take this time step and we're going to link it to a event. And this event is called a heartbeat. Now, if you've never heard of a heartbeat and you don't know what that is, it is a thing in the Roblox studio. It is a thing in Roblox. Every Roblox game has a heartbeat. And if I type in heartbeat, we see this run service heartbeat. This is on the search bar. Also, I'll paste the link in the description if you just want to go straight there. And this explains to you what a heartbeat is. And it says a heartbeat is an event that fires every frame after physics simulations have been completed. So this is and then it also says there's a step argument which indicates how much time has elapsed since the last heartbeat. So we're going to be using that in our code. And really, it also gives you example code here. And this example code is really what we want to be doing. So I'm going to actually copy this example code from this wonderful developers API on the heartbeat function. And I will go ahead and paste it into my script. Now, we're not going to run it like this. We still have a couple more changes to do, starting with sort of organizing. So anytime I have variables in my code, I actually like to have these guys at the top of my code. Like that. Okay, so we have this run service, which is calling game get service, and we're going to get the service called run service, and then we're putting it in a variable called run service. So this is just a label that represents the service we got from this line of code. Okay, and we have a rate per second. We'll see how that comes into play later. We have our function that's still here, and then down here, this is saying using the run service variable inside the run service, there is a heartbeat. So it says run service dot heartbeat. And then we're going to use the connect, and then we're going to connect a function to it. Now the example code defines the function. We call this inline. We're calling it inline. So we're defining a function right here. And I think that this is actually very hard to understand what's going on. So let's go ahead and delete that. And what's going to be more clear to understand is what we're going to connect to the heartbeat is the name of our function. Now be careful here. So I'm going to type out the name of our function, and you see autocomplete is trying to autocomplete this for me. And if I hit tab and I take this autocomplete, it types these open and close parentheses. Now, we mentioned this earlier, when you have these open and close parentheses, you're basically telling the computer, run this function right now. And we do not want the computer to run this function. We simply want to tell Heartbeat what function name to connect. So just have the function name and no open and close parentheses after it. You see how the text turns blue? We don't want to do that. We want it with black text like that. Just like that. Okay, so what we've done is we have connected our time step to the heartbeat. So every time the heartbeat beats, we're going to get our time step to run. And then the nice thing, if we look at the documentation, it says heartbeat doesn't fire at a fixed time. So this is variable frequency. This means that maybe it takes a second this time, and the next time it takes a half a second. It can change. It just depends on how hard the server is working. And sometimes it might be a little bit late to run your function. And so what we can do about that, if we want to do some time sensitive calculations, we want things to run at a consistent rate. So if a bunch of people join your game and there is 40 people playing on your server and things are starting to slow down, everybody's got these items that are all running around, time will actually slow down because it's taking longer to take a time step, because it's getting delayed by 12 seconds before we take a time step. So time will literally slow down. So what we can do to get around this is if we use the step option, what this step option is, and it's going to be populated by the heartbeat. So the heartbeat is the one that is actually going to be the one calling our time step function and plugging in a number into our step variable. It's doing that for us. It's doing all that work for us. And what that number is it is the time. It says it here somewhere. The step argument is used to account the variable frequency in this event. And it indicates the time that has elapsed since the previous frame. So this is telling you how much time has gone by since the last time we had a heartbeat. And we're going to use this in our formula. So back on that example code, we're basically going to use this line of code. Let's copy that. I deleted it on accident. I'm going to bring it back. We're going to paste it in there. Okay, things are looking good. We can delete our prints. We're not going to be printing anything here. Excellent. Yes, so this is looking pretty good. What we're going to do now is we're going to get a variable that controls the lighting. So we're going to get, and lighting is actually a service. So in order to figure this out, like I want to control lighting. So I'm going to type in lighting on the search bar here, and here is lighting. And lighting is a class, the class is a service. Just like our run our run service is a service, lighting is also a service. And if I scroll down here, we should have some example code. And we see the example code I showed earlier in the video, this day-night cycle. The problem with it is it uses the wait function. But in this day-night cycle, we have here a example of how to get reference to the lighting. And then we can see down here how they're using it to set the minutes after midnight. So I'll copy this. And also up here, we can see there's a section called functions, and we can see all the functions that we have available to us, as well as other properties that we have available from having this lighting, this reference to the lighting service. So let's copy this line of code. We'll paste it underneath here. So now we have a lighting variable. This is looking pretty good. And what we want to do now is let's comment out this line of code. Oops, we are in Lua. We need a dash dash. Okay, so now this is green and it's a comment. So the computer is going to ignore this line of code and skip it. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our lighting, and we are going to, we're going to not quite do this line of code. We do need to run this line of code. And what this line of code does is it sets the minutes after midnight, but we're not ready to set it with a value yet. We need to figure out that code still. Instead, we are going to get the minutes after midnight. So if we take a look through here, we can see there's a function called get minutes after midnight. So we're gonna make a local variable. I'm gonna call mine m for minutes, and we're gonna set it equal to the results that come out of this function. So this little function is gonna run from the lighting service, and it's gonna give us the minutes after midnight. And then if we print this and run our game, we're gonna notice two things. We're gonna notice that it's gonna print a number that is representing the current time that's set in the game. And then since it's connected to the heartbeat, it's going to print this over and over and over again. So if I hit play, you will see that we have 840, and it is printing 100 of them. There goes 200. There goes 300. It's printing it a bunch of times. This is good. This is good. So what I'm getting at is we're going to make a function that is going to add minutes after midnight. It'll take the minutes after midnight, add a little bit to it, set the minutes after midnight every heartbeat. And this will be a pretty good way of updating the time, and it'll run pretty good. And even if your server gets busy, you're not going to have any funny business going on with the rate at which time changes in your game. It'll stay fixed. So we're going to say m is equal to m. So whatever is in m, we're going to put it back into m, but we're going to add to it. We're going to add a little something extra on. We're going to add to it our rate per second times this step. All right, but this isn't enough. Now that we have a number, we have a local number, we need to take this local number that we have just recalculated a new value for. We've done this little equation here that will overwrite what was there before and now update it with a new value. We need to take this new value and we need to give it back to our lighting service. So here we are with the lighting service. I'm going to change that G to an S. So it'll say set minutes after midnight, and we're going to give it the M as a argument. Now we can't see what that M is going to be, but we don't care. We're just saying M is going to hold whatever you told me is the current minutes after midnight. We're going to add a little something extra to it. And then we're going to take that new minutes after midnight and set it as our minutes after midnight. And we're done. This is all the code we need. Now, if we hit play, 2 is actually going to be a little bit too slow. I'm actually going to put mine at 100, but I encourage you to play around with this rate per second. You can set this to whatever looks good for your game. So if you want time to go by fast in your game, you can. If you want it to go by slow, you can, and that sort of thing. So let's hit play. I think 100 should be pretty good. Let's see how that looks. And we load in, and it's already dark. And let's look at the sky, and that moon is zooming by. Yep, and we're done. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I encourage you to please hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more, because I will be doing more Roblox videos in the future. If you have any suggestions for things that you'd like to make in your game and you'd like me to make a tutorial for it, please leave a comment below. Give this video a thumbs up so I know that you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.